vibe.
Feel that?
The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live.
Right now.
Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul Sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, New York.
Brooklyn.
All my people, you rocking with the chat.
Hit that.
The like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the NBK. Born and raised up NBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Knick family. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, Dope Soul Knicks Talk, a member of the NBK family. The Knicks have lost 4 straight. 3 or 4 to the Toronto Raptors. Do they just have our number? We lost last night. What was that? 125 to 116. We were without Mitch and IQ. They were without OG Anunoby. But still, they're just a tough cover for us. I was reading the comments in the chat. Nobody seems to be panicking just yet. But let me just shout you guys out before we get into the show. Deron Wayne was in at 8:30. I appreciate you. Harlem Girl listening in the background, 8:37. Appreciate you. JJ, Jeff Clafter, Sean Kearns, Ajay, DJ Dax. If this is your first time, welcome. Appreciate you joining us. Sean Kearns. Who else? I think Lily Phillips. I hope I got that right. How are you? White Falcon 44. Kareem Grant. Appreciate you. Building Blocks. Troy Van Toll. Ashley Inc. West Coast. I appreciate you. And I think I got to everybody. All right, let's get into it. The Knicks entered the game. I think we're 25-23 now, so I think that's wrong. But I think we were 25-22 entering the game, 7th in the Eastern Conference, 5-5 over our last 10, having lost 3. Toronto 19-24, 11th in the Eastern Conference, 4-6 over their last 10. They lost 1 game. The Knicks just have a hard time with the Toronto Raptors. We started Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Randle, Jericho Sims, Mitchell Robinson was out, and IQ was also out. He's a big part of our bench. The bench did step up in his absence, though. They started Van Vliet, Gary Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes. Siakam started at power forward, and Precious Achiuwa started at center because OG Anunoby was out. All right, for the Knicks, RJ Barrett plays well, in Toronto. That's his home country. He always wants to put on a show. Apparently, there was like 300 of his friends and family at the game. 30.7 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 55.6% from the field. If only we played Toronto every game. It'll be good for Barrett. Wouldn't be good for us, though. Randle, 23 points, 19 rebounds, 8 assists. Wow, 57.1% from the field. Brunson, 21 points, 5 assists, 1 steal, 40% from the field. Brunson, in my opinion, hasn't looked the same over the last few games. You guys tell me, what you see. Is there a lingering injury? Is he tired? Is this the biggest role he's had, in his short career, and he's just getting used to it? But the last few games, he just hasn't looked the same to me. Or is he just struggling, as many players do, right? Go through a period of time and when you're just not playing well and the shots are just not falling. So let me know what you think about that. Sims, 10 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block. I don't even think he's missed a shot as a starter. I think he was 7 of 7 last night, 6 of 6. 5 of 5 last night, 6 of 6 the day before. He's playing well in Mitch's absence. Obviously he's not the rim protector Mitch is. He's not that big. Mitch is 7 feet. He looks taller than that. 7 feet, long wingspan. He deters people from getting into the lane. Sims doesn't do that, but he brings other, there are other things that he does well. So kudos for him. He's been playing well for the Knicks, and he was much more active early in the game, you know, and maybe that's just about him getting his sea legs. I thought the last game, the first quarter or so wasn't as sharp, but as the game went on, he just got better and better. And last night, I thought Jericho Sims was sharp from the from the very beginning. Offense is not the problem for the Knicks. Offense is just not the in this game. Offense is not the problem, and for the season, over this 4-game losing streak, offense has not been the problem, and for the season, offense has not been the problem. The Knicks shot 48.8% from the field. They shot 43.9% from three. Free throws is a problem, right? They shot 69.2% from the line. They went there 26 times and only made 18. You just got to get better. I don't want to hear about fatigue now, right? They're playing less minutes, 38 minutes. RJ had 41. But for Randle and Brunson, the ones who are missing the free throws, the last few games, they haven't played more than 38 minutes. I don't want to hear about fatigue. Hit your free throws. Toronto, Van Vliet, 28 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. All 4 games that we've played Toronto, he's balled out. He's just balled out. He's played well. Siakam, 24.7 rebounds, 6 assists. Didn't shoot well from the field, 42.9%. Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. is only 23 years old. I couldn't believe it. I think he just turned 24 a few days ago. 24 years old. I mean, he's a proven player. In his short little time he's been in the league, he's just really turned into a very solid, good player on both ends of the court. 24 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Toronto had 6 players in double figures. The Knicks had 4. They shot 45.6% from the field, 44.1% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. They went 35 times. They made 28. Again, offense was not the problem for either team. It was the defense, right? It was the defense. Last night and over the 4-game losing streak, it's been our defense. Let's just get into some other players who played last night, and then I'll check in with the chat. Grimes, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, did not shoot well from the field, 2 for 8 from the field, 2 for 6 from the 3-point line. Both him and Fournier had those timely threes, those threes in the midst of the game that had they just knocked them down, would have brought the Knicks closer, would have extended a lead, would have helped us get a little bit more back into the game. And Grimes missed them, and so did Fournier. And so I've said this a lot. We need every point we can get, no matter what. We need every stop we can get, no matter what. But there's a such thing as timely shots that help you build momentum. And there's a such thing as timely stops, right? Which helps you halt the momentum of the other team. And the Knicks last night, for the most part, weren't able to get those timely shots and definitely weren't able to get timely on any other stops. All right. The bench played collectively, the bench played 55 minutes? I think the bench played 55 minutes last night without IQ, right? And again, that allows your starters to get less minutes. But then again, we're not a very good team 7 through 9, right? So when your starters are getting less minutes, that means there's more minutes for players that may not be as effective. However, last night, I thought a few players were. I thought we got good minutes from Fournier, 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He did not shoot well overall and from the field. I thought his on-ball defense was good. Sometimes don't buy into the narratives. Watch a player. Just watch a player in a game for a few sets or for a quarter. Just watch and see what they do. I thought his on-ball defense was good. I thought his off-ball defense, he lost his man a few times. Man cut all the way through the key to the other side, and he's ball watching, right? So I didn't think his off-ball defense was good, but his on-ball defense was. McBride, 10 minutes, didn't score, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Wasn't his best game. 2 turnovers in 10 minutes. It's not good. 0 for 3 from the field. Obi Toppin was good. Obi Toppin played 10 minutes, put up 7 shots, 5 3-point, and they were all in the flow of the game. He wasn't forcing it, but Obi, he's going to get his shots no matter what his minutes are. He had 14 points last night, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal. Took 5 3-pointers, made 4 of them. I thought Obi Toppin played well last night. But again, offense wasn't the issue for the Knicks. You know, for those who said, oh, he should have played more minutes, the offense wasn't the issue. Even throughout this losing streak, the Knicks are still top 10 in offense. I think they're 6. Right? Offense is not the issue for the Knicks. It is the defense. And Ihart, in his almost 15 minutes, he had 2 points, 2 steals, 2 rebounds, 1 for 3 for the field. I still thought Ihart did some good things for us, both offensively and defensively. But that was it. Altogether, the bench played 55 minutes. We got 24 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 4 turnovers. I thought the bench was productive last night in the minutes that they got. They didn't shoot that great other than Obi Toppin, but for the most part, I thought we got some productive minutes from the bench, and we actually outscored their bench, which is not hard to do. They don't have a great bench either. All right. Jeff Clafter missing 2 of our 3 best defenders, and it showed. Yes. But Queen Obi was hitting the threes, but coach only played him 11 minutes or so. Yeah, I agree, but offense wasn't the minutes. It wasn't the issue for us. So if Obi gets in, he scores, more points. If you're not defending, you're not getting back in this game. Jeff Clafter, IQ, an unsung hero for this team. His 25 minutes per night are crucial. It is, but we got 14 from Obi Toppin. We got 8 from Evan Fournier. But if you want to say it's a difference in the sense that, they really have to guard IQ, they really have to pay attention to IQ. He can also get in the lane and create for others. I would agree. I would agree with that. Fly guard, they are playing 2 or 3 minutes less than their average. Is not an excuse. They are still tight. You can see it when they miss jump shots. Listen, 37, 38 minutes, that's what it is for an NBA starter. Look around the league. Look around the league. There's no excuse for free throws. I'm sorry. They not playing 48 minutes. 37 minutes, 38 minutes. Oh, so they fatigued from 2 weeks ago when they was playing 40 minutes. To me, I think it's just an excuse. Hit your free throws. Everybody else is doing it. Everybody else is doing it. Queen, do you think the coach defensive scheme need to change up? Because I am not liking what I'm seeing on the defensive. I'm not liking what I'm seeing on the defensive side of the ball. But we played the same defensive scheme when we was top 10 in the league. During that stretch when we were 5th in the league, we were playing the same defensive scheme. Sean Currents, Tibbs is having a tough time managing the roster's minutes. Obi was doing well and got put. Listen, again, offense wasn't the problem. It was the defense. You need defense to get back into the game. Obi is not a strong defender. Neither was the rest of the team, but you're still going to go with your plays and you hope that at some point they're going to turn it around. So I get it. If we scored 100 points in this game and Obi was hot and we pulled him, I would have a problem. Offense wasn't the problem. And I don't really care who scores for the Knicks as long as we score. Doesn't matter to me on offense who scores as long as we score. To me, it's about the team. Now, if we were struggling offensively and you got somebody that's hot and you pull them out, absolutely, I do have a problem with that. I don't think that was the case last night. Salute, Kerry Cox. I appreciate you and everybody. Ashley Inc. 1, West Coast, always appreciate you getting up early to watch the show. Thank you. I'm not panicking, yes, unless the front office panics and makes a crazy trade. Well, I don't think they're going to make a crazy trade, but it would be nice if they got some reinforcements for this team. Shout out to Pudge Nice. I appreciate you. JJ says, I'm not panicking because I knew this team wasn't good. If you have hopes of playoffs or playing, you should be panicking. listen, the Knicks are going to make the playoffs. Look around the league. Every team has ups and downs. That's what I'm saying. You can't get too high. You can't get too low. You know, the Knicks have as far as the top 3, they're good, right? The top 6, actually, they're good. You're not going to get much offensively from Grimes. It's his second year. He's going to be off and on, right? Mitch, you're not going to get much offense. He's just not an offensive player, but he anchors our defense. Quickly, our 6th man, I think he's playing his role superbly as of late. The last 20 games or so, I have to run the stats. IQ has been playing really well for us. We need reinforcements 7 through 9. Watch the other teams. I don't know if you have NBA League Pass. Watch the other teams, right? Or even if you're not watching them, just look at them statistically. Go through their record, win-loss record, game by game, and you're going to see the same things: wins, losses, teams struggling at certain parts in the season. It happens, right? I'm not going to look at one part of the season and say, "Oh, wow, the Knicks are going to the championship. They've won 8 straight." Or look at another part of the season and say, "Oh my God, they're not even going to make the play-in." Relax. It's a long season. Adjustments need to be made. All right. I'll get to the rest of the chat early. Let's get into the team stats. The Knicks out-rebounded them by 2. The Knicks have 30 assists. The Knicks made 40 field goals, and 30 of them were assisted, right? So the ball movement was there. Again, offense is not the problem. Whether we have 30 assists, 16 assists, the Knicks know how to score the ball. That's something that's been a constant for the Knicks throughout the season, whether the shots are assisted or they're not assisted. Maybe it looks prettier when they are assisted, right? Maybe people feel more comfortable when they have 30 as opposed to 16. Doesn't matter for this team. They can score the ball. Period, point blank. Whether it was 16 assists or 30, right? And the stats bear that out. 16 turnovers, which is much more than the Knicks average per game. And this is what Toronto does. They're very long. They're very scrappy. They're very physical. They trap, right? They turn you over. But they don't just turn you over. They capitalize on the turnovers. They had 26 points off of the Knicks' 16 turnovers, right? The Knicks throughout the season hasn't really been that good in their transition defense anyway. So when they do turn it over, even when they don't turn it over a lot, teams score off of their turnovers, right? You got another team who turns you over, it's going to be even worse. To me, I thought that was the difference in the game, the points off of turnovers. Again, both teams shot well. The Knicks shot 69% from the free throw line. It's not going to cut it. I hear you, C-Mac. They tired from the last time. To me, it just doesn't fly. Just doesn't fly. Hit your free throws. Brunson, how many minutes is Tatum and those guys playing? Embiid, how many minutes are those guys playing per game? They get the ball down the stretch, and how many shots are they taking? Right? So you could talk about minutes, but also look at the load. Somebody might even play less minutes, but when they are in the game, the ball is just going to them a lot, right? That takes a lot of energy as well. How much are they shooting in? What is their free throw percentage in the crunch? 5 minutes in the game. You're up or down 5 minutes, 5 points. These guys are hitting their shots, you know? Points in the paint, it was even 42. I will say that the Knicks are ranked number 9 in points in the paint. Toronto is ranked number 14 in points in the paint. However, the difference between the two of them is 1 point, right? The Knicks are averaging 52.1 points in the paint, and Toronto is averaging 51 points in the paint, right? So they're pretty even, and it showed last night, 42-42. Second chance points, Toronto was plus 10. Plus 10. Now, I will say the Knicks are number 1 in second chance points, but Toronto is number 3. They are not slouches in points in the paint, right? The Knicks average second chance points. The Knicks average 17 second chance points a game. Toronto averages 16 second chance points. So these teams are even pretty much in terms of second chance points, but they were plus 10. And I think that is the difference in Mitch playing and not playing. Plus 10. second chance points. I think they only had 3 more offensive rebounds than we did, but they converted. They converted on them. And we talked about points off turnovers, which to me, in my opinion, was the difference in the game, 26-8. That's Toronto. That's Toronto. They're not a really good, they're not a, they shoot well against the Knicks, but for the most part, they're not a really good shooting team. But that's how they generate their points. They turn you over and they score off of those turnovers. All right. Let me get to the chat once again before we start talking about the game a little more in depth. Right. White Fox, Sims and Mitch starting together is a weapon and y'all crying. Sims and Mitch starting together is a disaster, in my opinion. JJ, this is only going to get worse with the hardest remaining schedule. We'll talk about that. Kenya Smith, appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Hope all is well with you and your family. We got to do better, sis. We do, sis. We do. We got to do better, and we'll see. The Knicks have a tough schedule coming up. Ashley Inc., 116 points should win most games. Hit your free throws and protect the ball. We lost by 9, so 5 less turnovers and hitting 3 more free throws wins the game. Yeah, and the transition defense. Not even a transition. Your defense off of a turnover. Get back, get in position, contest the shot. Right? JJ said it's time for the tank, embrace it, and stop worrying about a lousy playing. It's not about that, JJ. I think you missed this a lot. You missed this a lot. It's about step by step, piece by piece. The Knicks have been in the lottery since 2013, except for one time, with not much to show for it. There's no guarantees in that. This is the game of basketball. This is what you do in basketball. You play to win. And you retool your team as you go along. You don't give up. You don't quit. Now, if the Knicks go out and try to play every game and they fall into the lottery, that's what it is. But to tank, to me, is to purposely lose games. No player is going to do that, and no coach is going to do that. Tanking starts with the front office and how they construct the team, like San Antonio. Trading DeJounte Murray. You want to tank? That's what you do. You trade off your players so that the team can go in every night and not falsely try to lose. You go in every night trying to win, but the roster is not good enough because the front office made sure of it. That's how you tank. But you don't just go in and purposely try to lose games, okay? At some point, even when you have a young team like Detroit, OKC, Orlando, at some point, you got to come out of the barn door. At some point, you got to start trying to win games and retooling your team. So the process is the same. You go out, you win as many games as you can. You didn't make the playoffs one year. Hopefully, you make the play in the next year. The year after that, you make the playoffs. You keep retooling the team. Maybe it's the first round, then the second round, then the Eastern Conference Finals. That's how it works. Not many teams go from being out of the playoffs and then boom, Eastern Conference Finals. Step by step, piece by piece. Be patient, fam. The Knicks last year around this time, we couldn't even think about the play-in. The Knicks will be there in the end. Let's not panic. E. Gibson, appreciate you. The problems aren't just with our schedule. It's our roster, coaching, front office. Yeah, I will agree with that. Though, Tibbs, there's certain things Tibbs do that I don't like. I still think he's a quality coach, right? I still think he's a quality coach. The schedule is what it is, right? The schedule is what it is. Everybody's pretty much is playing the same schedule. The roster, yeah, some things need to be done with the roster right now. No doubt about it. We can't keep rearranging the chairs on the deck. At some point, you're going to have to bring in some new chairs. At some point, you're going to have to redecorate. That's what needs to happen with this team. Dudes like having a play-in in the first round exit. Yeah, I prefer that over languishing like we have been, because that shows progress. And then hopefully next year in the offseason, you retool the team and then you get to the second round. So I could turn that around and be like, dudes like losing and going into the lottery every single year, which is what the Knicks have been doing, right? With nothing to show for it, nothing at all, So yeah, my preference, getting to play in, getting the playoffs, losing the first round. You know what you need. You get the experience, but you also know who's going to be a part of this team going forward, who's not going to be a part of this team going forward, right? But there's a lot of the fan base that love the lottery and love the draft, love thinking about what this team could be because we drafted this player. Nah, at some point, you got to come out of the barn and you got to start playing to win. I am looking at the remaining schedule. But again, all of these teams that you guys are glorifying, we're not playing Philly, the top 3 teams every single game. Right? We're not. Matter of fact, we could just move on to this. They do have the first, or I believe it's the second hardest schedule remaining in the team in the season. I get it. I'm just not going to panic. We're going to see. Do the Knicks need to make changes to this roster? The Knicks need to make changes to this roster. No, no doubt about it. They do. But I'm not panicking because I have League Pass and I watch these other teams and I see them struggle as well. Jeff Grimes was the only one with a positive play. Yeah. I hear you. Hit some shots. Hit some shots when we need them. I hear you, Jeff Clapton. And I'm not banging on him. He's a second-year guy. He may have just played 82 games over 2 years, which is just one season. I get it. Him and Fournier, I'm just saying it would have been nice had they hit some timely shots. But in no way am I blaming this game on them. It's the defense. Sean Kearns, Queen, you are correct about the free throws. Just face it, we have players that are bad free throw shooters. Not sure why Randle takes penalty shots. Yeah. I am definitely I'm definitely with you on that. With that. Okay. Paris Duggan is in the house with the Randle and Tibbs and whoever hate. If you ain't McBride and you ain't Obi and you ain't Sims, Paris Duggan ain't feeling you. Get rid of the same old cheers. We know Randle's ceiling, which is higher than probably anybody else's on the team. Randle is going to be here, Paris Duggan. So if you're going to be a Knick fan, unless we're trading for a star, he's going to be here. And Randle is not the reason. The only reason we've lost 5 straight. Where were you when Randle was playing well and we won 8 straight, right? Don't just come out and criticize. Be even. When players are playing well, be there and be like, wow, so-and-so is playing well. And when they're not playing well, be there and say, so-and-so is not playing well, right? Don't just sit back when players are playing well. And then when they're not, you want to call his ceiling is so low. We should do this. We should do that. Come on. Sean Kearns. Queen, if we had a different coach, do you think Cam would be playing? Dependent on the coach. I think for most coaches, yes. But I think for those old school coaches that's looking for you to play with a certain type of motor, maybe not. Maybe not. All right. White Falcon 44. Queen Randle drops 24 points and 10 rebounds. How many plays in the top 25 are doing this? Yeah. And if this is Randle's ceiling, last night, I don't want to go back to it, but it was like 24 points, 18 or 19 rebounds, 8 assists. If that's his ceiling, I'll take it, right? Randle is playing the best he can. If he's a number 2 and he's a number 3, it's not his fault that the front office hasn't gone out and gotten a number 1. People are complaining about Randle. Oh, he's on the team. He's given us what he has. And take away the first, I don't know, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 games of the season, he's been playing really well for us. It's not his fault that he's put in a position to carry a team, and maybe that's not who he is. That's on the front office. So if I'm not banging on Julius Randle, Parish Duggar, talking about his ceiling. I'm not gonna bang it. A Negro one. I don't know if I got that right. Salute Queen, finally caught one live. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the support. White Falcon 44, we have a number 1 for sure. Brunson Randall is 2. RJ is 3. Listen, White Falcon. All right. I hear you. What are you talking about, Queen? I said, you bugging reading sporadically. I said Randall is worth a lot. Yeah, I must have missed that. Through all of the Randall not negative chats, comments, I must have forgot that one. All right. They don't happen that often, or I would have remembered. Because when you're doing this for a long time and you're doing your own shows, and then you're also watching, the other show hosts, my buddies, Blanche Tears, shout out to Big Freezy, Sam, shout out to Sam, Nothing But Knicks. You watch those shows, you kind of get a sense of who's the even level-headed fan, what the narratives are from certain people in the chat, who they like, who they don't like, what's the narratives that's not going to change no matter what a coach or a player does, So it's cool. I'm sorry if you did have a good comment about Randall and I missed it. Sorry about that. Paris Duggar said he's a Randall fan. Okay, all right. So I maybe I got that wrong. It happens. I'm not perfect. All right. So the Knicks are not. So it doesn't sound like you guys are panicking. Some just feel like this is where the Knicks are. A 500 team. There are some like JJ who feel like it's going to get much worse. The Knicks will not even make the play-in. But for the most part, people are not panicking. Knicks Nation 112. Always here to defend Cam and Knox. I appreciate you, Knicks Nation 112. Knicks Nation 112. Salute. Good morning, Queen. The fan base kills with this motor thing. Obi has all the motor and he can't get off the bench. Knox looks better with the Pistons. Hard to show motor cemented to the bench. Yeah, I hear you, but listen, I would play Cam. I think Cam could help this team. I think he can. I'm just saying, he asked me about would he play for another coach. For some coaches, that's a thing. For other coaches, it's not. I think for the vast majority, he would. But listen, we're not going to ever agree with Cam. Does he have talent? Absolutely. Does he have a high ceiling? Absolutely. But there's something to be said for two teams giving up on him. It's not just the Knicks, not just Obi, not just Coach Tibbs, but Atlanta as well. Right? All right. Chris Simmons, I appreciate you. I'm not sure if this is your first time. If it is, welcome to the show. My dream is for us to trade for SGA or Anthony. Yeah, my dream too. My dream too. East Blue Drew, the team just needs one more piece. We can clean up in this year. Draft, end up being a super team by luck. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stars in this league weren't drafted in the top 5. Right? So maybe just a few of them were drafted in the top 5, right? You can find a star anywhere. Hopefully the Knicks can do both. Play well, make the playoffs, get a draft pick that turns into a star. All right. Dwayne Dennis, that's not a fair statement. You have your tales and opinions. That doesn't mean your tales are correct. Correct more than the fans in the chat. Everyone else is looking at the game. Oh, I'm not saying, I've always said, I respect those in the chat. Just because I was in the chat myself. That's where I started, on Nothing But Knicks, in the chat, right? Before I got up enough nerve to ask to go on a panel at Nothing But Knicks. So just because I started a channel doesn't necessarily mean that my opinions are better or worse, truer or falser than anybody else in the chat. No doubt about it. All I'm saying is the more you listen to people, the more you know who they like and who they don't like, and the narrative just doesn't change no matter what's going on the field. I mean, in the game. That's all I'm saying, Dwayne, Dennis. All right. All right. Let me just see. Ajay, by All-Star break, we might fall 8 to 10 games under 500. We probably missed the play-in. Okay. All right. We are going on a 7 to 10 game losing streak. I mean, listen, it might. Listen, when you think about the Knicks, for the most part, the Knicks have beat the teams they were supposed to beat. We got Cleveland coming up. We got Boston coming up. We got Brooklyn coming up. How many people thought we were better than them? You lose to the teams you're supposed to lose to. Hopefully you can get one or two of those games. Beat the teams you were supposed to beat. And the Knicks, for the most part, have done that. Now, I thought we should have beat Washington in Madison Square Garden the last game. But there were many in the chat who said, no, when healthy, Washington has a better roster and they're a better team than the Knicks. So for those who felt that way, if the Knicks lost that game, why are you panicking? Why are you down on the Knicks? They lost to a better team. Toronto seems to have our number. They beat us 3 out of 4, and it's not for lack of trying. The Knicks put in multiple efforts to get back into that game last night, right? Still lost. If we lose to Cleveland and we lose to Boston, they're better teams than we are. You expect to win those games? When you looked at the schedule to start the season, did you expect to beat Cleveland, Boston, and Brooklyn? You didn't. So why would you panic if they lost to those teams? I'm panicking if the Knicks is losing to Detroit. They're losing to the teams that they're right in the middle of the pack with. Focus on the 6 through 12 teams. Those top teams, the Knicks are not better than. They just not. So no, I'm not panicking, right? I'm not panicking. Now, Brooklyn, maybe they'll have a shot if KD remains out, maybe. Right? But Brooklyn has struggled a little bit with KD out, Kyrie having to take more of that load, but they've won their last 2. All right? Sean Kearns, folks still stuck on last year's Randle. The dude is baking out this year. If he was doing this on a different team, Knick fans would be begging for him to be traded to us. Yeah. You might be right. E. Gibson, I'm critical of the team across the board, but I can't blame Randle. He's having a bounce back season and putting up consistent numbers. He is. He has his down games, as they all do. But for the most part, I like the way Randle has been playing. Listen, I'm not saying that there aren't concerns on the Knicks. I'm concerned about this defense, right? Everybody is talking about, the defense is down because Mitch is out. No, the defense has been struggling even with Mitch. Right now, we're 13th, I believe, in the entire league out of 32. So we're still in the top half. But over the last 5 games, we're ranked 24th in the league, giving up 126.7 points per 100 possessions. And for those who are not familiar with offensive and defensive rating, what they do is they just take 100 possessions. What is a team scoring per 100 possessions? That allows you to be able to compare teams, right? Because if you just go by points, a team can be playing at a faster pace. That's why they're scoring more points. A team can be playing a real slow pace. That's why they're not scoring a lot of points. So it's hard to compare a team with who's playing a fast pace to a team that's playing a slow pace. So what they do is they take, okay, how much is each team scoring per 100 possessions? And that allows you to compare teams regardless of the pace that they play, right? So over the last 5 games, the Knicks are 24th in defensive rating, 126.7 points they're giving up per 100 possessions, right? The last 10 games, and Mitch has played in these games, 26th in defensive rating, giving up 120.2 points per 100 possessions. And the last 15 games, the Knicks are 23rd in defensive rating, giving up 117.7 points per 100 possessions. The Knicks defense has not been that great for 15 games. And I'm not banging on Mitch. Probably would be worse without Mitch, right? But what I am saying is we are a team. And as a team, it's not one person, right? As a team, we haven't been playing well defensively, right? And that was only because I think it was 2 games ago, I started to run the numbers because I saw the Knicks slipping from top 10 in defensive rating to 11 to 12, last night to 13. Whoa. So what's been happening over the last 5, 10, 15 games? And that's when you get to see that the Knicks have been trending down defensively for a very long time, right? With the same team. Like people, that's what I'm trying to say. It's a team thing. People wanted to blame the defense on Fournier and the defense on, okay, Fournier is not playing. That same team that had us top 8 or top 10 and or top 5 at one point in defensive rating, that same team is now, over the last 15 games, 23rd. The same team. What has changed? Right? The offense has been consistent. Whether we're ISO heavy, whether we're moving the ball around, the Knicks are scoring. Whether we have 17 assists, whether we have 30 assists, the Knicks are scoring. Offense is not the problem. The defense is. All right. Right now, the Knicks are 7th in the Eastern Conference, 25-23, 1 game behind Miami, who's rising up. At one point, I think Miami was 9-10. Now they're 6. Keep an eye on 6 through 12. There's going to be a lot of movement there throughout the season. Top 5, I think, are pretty stable. So the Knicks are 1 game behind Miami and just a half a game above the Hawks. So by the end of this week, the Knicks can be in the 8th or 9th spot. It is what it is. Let me see. New York has lost 4. Atlanta has lost 1. Indiana has lost 7. But when you look at over the last 10, Brooklyn 5-5, Cleveland 5-5, Miami 6-4, New York 5-5, Atlanta 7-3, Indiana 2-8, Chicago 5-5, Toronto 5-5, the Wizards 5-5. Average. That's what you're gonna get 6 through 10. Average. Let's see where it is by the end of the season. All right. Next game is Cleveland Tuesday. Like we said, Knicks 25-23, 7th in the Eastern Conference. The offensive rating is 6, defensive rating is 13, but over the last 5, 10, 15 games, it's been 23rd or worse. Right? Net rating 9th. We're 1-1 against Cleveland. Cleveland is 10 games over 500, 29-19. They're 5th in the Eastern Conference. They've been pretty steady at 5. But again, over their last 10, they're 5-5. They won 1. They're 10th in offensive rating, 2nd in defensive rating. They've been consistently top 5 in defensive rating over the season, right? So those are that's concerned about their short backcourt. As we talked about, you can have a short backcourt if the rest of the team, the rest of the players you have, how you build out that roster defensively can mitigate having a short backcourt. And that's what Cleveland has done, right? They got Mobley back there. They got Jarrett Allen back there. So I'm pretty sure when they were thinking about trading for Donovan Mitchell, they thought about, wow, those guys are kind of short. However, our roster is built in a certain way that we can overcome it. Cleveland is going to be tough, even at the Garden. The Knicks are under 500 at the Garden. Donovan Mitchell, well, I don't even know if he's going to play. He's been hurt, right? So last game, they started Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen. Those guys are long. Those guys are long, right? It's gonna be hard for Randle and Sims to score with Mobley and Jared Allen. It's gonna be tough. Brunson likes to get his shots in the paint. RJ likes to drive to the basket. You got two erasers back there, and Mobley and Jared Allen. Could be a tough night and a tough game for the New York Knicks. But again, how many people thought the Knicks would beat Cleveland coming into the season? And this is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Real King, I can't agree with you that Mitch is a bust. I can't agree. I can't agree with that. Anyway, Reg Ice it's obvious they need better wing defenders, better backup wings, power forwards, better rotation. Team is exhausted and Mitch must stay healthy. Yeah, I mean, you do it. Do you think Mitch is injury prone? I mean, I think the past, he's missed some games. I don't know if I'm ready to say he's injury prone. All right, tonight Queens Court on a Nothing But Knicks channel. Wednesday, I'll be back here for the morning recap show talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers game, and then Friday, the Just Nicking show is usually on Thursdays at 9 p.m. However, the Knicks play Thursday. So the Just Nicking show will be Friday. Hopefully you guys can join us. Let me just give some shout out to the chat. White Falcon 44, Sean Kearns, Pudge Nice, Real King, Reg Ice, Knicks Nation 112, Jeff Clafter, DJ Dax, JJ, appreciate you, of course, Dwayne Dennis, Almighty Finesse, Ajay, I appreciate you, Building Blocks, Pudge Nice, Parish Doug, I appreciate you as always, Chris Simmons, appreciate you, Ashley Inc. 1, I appreciate you as well, D'Angelo, East Blue Drew, C Mac, I appreciate you, Anna Girl 1, appreciate you. I don't think I'm going to get to everybody, but I do appreciate you guys. Harlem Girl listening in the background. Appreciate you. Deron Wayne. I think I got to everybody. Sean Kearns, I'm not sure. Care to revise your A grade given to Tibbs? Not at all. Where were we at midseason? We can't revise. We can't wait to the end of the season and we're going to revise midseason grades. Where were the Knicks at the 41 game point in the season? Where were the Knicks? All right. I appreciate you guys. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Nothing but love for the chat. Until next time.
Sister, you're one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
What?